everybody. Firstly, I'd like to say thank you to the Department of Employment for organizing this event on employment. It's an honor for me to be the chair of this panel session. And the aim of the panel session today is to make more visible and make more legitimate the value of entrepreneurship and those who are entrepreneurs, because it's a driving force of employment. So it's a great honor to introduce you to the three people that are chairing this event, people that have been brave enough to be entrepreneurs during this time of COVID. So it's difficult at any time to create jobs. So we need to make these people more visible. So I'm going to first call up Susana Ormilla. She's Executive Director of Biolan Biosensors at the Zamudio Technology Park. This is a biotech that's a benchmark biotech, one of the biggest in our surroundings and a benchmark one. And she represents scientific entrepreneurship in a sector which is currently growing a great deal and which we want to hear a lot more about. Let's hear about the current and future plans of Biolan. Let's take a seat, Susana. Secondly, I'm going to introduce you to Maylin Vergara. She's the chair of the Association of Immigrant Entrepreneurial Women, and she just personalizes the difficulties that those people who want to be entrepreneurs come from another country and are, in this case, women. So Maylin, off you go. And finally, Javier Melero. Javier Melero does all sorts of things. He lectures at Granada University, but has also directed the entrepreneurship program of Granada University. And as an example to everybody, he's a founder of Aumentor. And Aumentor has just been awarded an interesting prize, which we're going to talk about shortly. So welcome to you from Andalusia. As I said at the beginning, what makes this panel session interesting is all these people that you can see up here with me have been entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs. When we talk about entrepreneurship, we're not talking about necessarily just setting up a new business unit, but also to be entrepreneurs internally, inside a company. All those efforts to create new innovations in companies that have been up and running for a few years now. So to start, what we want to do is to find out about projects and companies to see what's the reason, the main reason for these people to set up and be entrepreneurs. So if it's okay with you, we'll start with Susana. Susana's going to project some slides that will help her show the value of Biolan microsensors. We want to hear more about the origin and how many people now are working on your project. Good morning, everybody. Firstly, can you hear me okay? Thanks to the organizers for inviting us. It's always a pleasure to explain what we've been up to. This is just one more experience in the world of entrepreneurship. And of course, we took the step to become entrepreneurs back in 2006. That doesn't mean to say that we're still innovating inside our company. With just 4 slides, I'm going to tell you what Biolan is about, so you've got an idea. Biolan, can you put the next slide up, please? Or do I have to put them up?
Ay, gracias. ¿Dónde le doy? Perdona, aquí. Vale, fenomenal, fenomenal.
Biolan, what do we do? Who are we? We're a company that's technology-based. We were set up from technology. We'd earmarked some technologies that we thought that could give rise to a business and that could showcase a lot of years of research and technology. So what we do is we develop diagnostic or analytical equipment. What these are devices to measure different parameters of different chemical compounds in the food world and in the world of health. What we saw is that this technology, which is basically electrochemical technology, which together with biological chemicals become biosensors, we thought that biosensors were an opportunity to give the food world simple, precise, swift tools that could replace all these different analyses that exist in the world of food and the food industry was crying out for much simpler tools. So we work in the field of food quality and food safety. What that means is we can measure parameters that measure the safety or the quality of foodstuffs. We can measure the amount of histamine in fish, sulfites in prawns, lactose in products that are marketed as low lactose. So if you tell us what you want to measure, we can develop a device to do that. That's in the case of food. In the case of the health sector, we realized that all the technology that we developed for food could also be used in the health sector. So we, in 2015, decided to start developing devices which could help diagnose certain diseases, such as I'll tell you about, for example, in the case of COVID. So these are the two fields, food and health. And we've got all the certifications and all the necessary checks that prove that our products work, are precise, and are made to measure. This is what we produce. Actually, what we're making is like a coffee making machine. I don't know if you can see this. It looks like a coffee making machine at the top on the left. What this is it's the business model of Nespresso, because it's the best way of understanding it. We sell the coffee making machine, but also the capsules, the biotests, where we include all our knowledge so that this capsule, in inverted commas, can measure the parameter that we want it to measure. This is our business model. So over years, what we've done is we've diversified our product, optimized it, but that's the idea basically, a Nespresso coffee machine. It can be a portable machine, like the one at the bottom, or like the one at the top, which is a desktop machine with all the different capsules. That's for the food world. In the health world, I want to highlight how right in the middle of the pandemic, we once again started innovating and got into the complicated world of developing antibodies, antigen tests to diagnose disease or to measure the level of immunity of different people. And as this is something that we all now know about, I hardly need to explain what this product does. These are these quick tests, swift tests that have made it easier to manage the pandemic. There are other products in the health world, such as to measure lactose intolerance. This is another disease which is very prevalent around the world and normally needs tedious tests for patients to realize that they are lactose intolerant. So those are our products. How did this come about? In 2006 is when we started being entrepreneurs, our road to entrepreneurship. We were in the NACA Technology Center together with the Complutense University in Basque entrepreneurs. We recognized, they saw there's a window of opportunity out there. But what happened in 2006? Well, it was like what we got was an idea, an opportunity, a PowerPoint, but of course that PowerPoint needed to be converted into something practical. It wasn't until 2009 when we got 2 investment funds to believe what we could do and to put money into our project. That meant that we could launch using the prototypes that we have our products onto the market and helped us grow. 2030 was when we started diversifying, especially our products, because we started out in the world of wine. We found this really good solution for the world of wine. And 2013, we realized that we needed another solution for the world of fish. So that's now 50% of our business, the solution that we've got for the world of fish. That sort of gives you wings to carry on innovating new projects, new products. In 2017 was when we started expanding our company, and we've been growing to today, till to date. In the last 5 years, our growth has been sustained and sustainable. 32% in sales. We currently export 8% of our products. We've got a presence in over 55 countries, and we're a very small company, and it's been very complex to do that. So we're very proud to be able to say, yes, we've got in all countries of the 4 continents. Our main customers are in Asia, especially because of the tuna industry that's very, very prevalent in Asia, and Central America because of the world of prawns and other crustaceans. So there we are. Our HQ is in Zamudio. We're also growing because our HQ is becoming small. We're not from Bilbao, in fact I'm from Vitoria, but things are getting a little bit small for us, so we're now expanding into a 3rd building, and we've got 9 sales delegations scattered around the world, where we've created jobs, of course, with people from here, expats in some cases, but always with local talent as well. This is really important for internationalizing in these markets. So we've created jobs not just here, but in those places where we've expanded into. We do the whole of the chain. We develop the product, we do the R&D, product development to launch onto market. That's by no means easy. This final kilometer to get onto the market is the most complicated kilometer. So we manufacture and we market. We do the whole thing. So the equipment that we need is increasing for our production, and everything that we do in-house. Everything that is of high value is done internally, which is almost everything, 90% of what we do. And this has meant, and this has been thanks to our team which has gradually grown. As I said, in 2006 there were 2 of us, 2009 there were 5, and today there are almost 70 people. 55 of us are in Zamudio, in our Zamudio buildings, but we've got between 15 and 20 people in our different delegations around the world. This means that growth in employment in 2020, you can see there's an increase of 15% in job growth, and in this year around 12 to 13%, because of course every time we get on board a new project, we need new profiles of employees, and that means that we have to grow. But as I always have said, in a sustainable way. We're very much aware of how complicated it is to maintain our activity and our jobs. Almost 70% of the workforce are women in the board of management. 80% are women, and that just shows to how much we want to concentrate on gender equality, and always, if we can, integrating the disabled, and so we've got a social side to us. The team are very multidisciplinary, as you can probably imagine, because there's a technological side to things, which means we require different profiles, but it's always also very varied in the kind of people that work for it. We've got PhD holders, people that have got a PhD in biochemistry and engineering, people that have come to us from VET. We need people from VET, people who meet the profiles that we need for the different company divisions. And when we recruit these profiles, we've been very, very active about that. For these high technologically valued profiles, we've actually accessed Europe to access all the different subsidies in Europe, in the Basque Country and in Spain, which have helped us to capture talent and recruit people. But we've also made sure that we also are involved in VET. We've been in the dual VET program for many years, and everybody that's come to us for a practical placement, when they finish their dual VET placement, we've asked them to come on board and join the project because we want people that are enthusiastic. Maybe I've gone too far just to tell you a little bit about the company, but thank you. We can carry on talking about more. We'll come back later to Biolana. As you can see, there's a varied kind of people that are here, from different backgrounds, but they've got many things that they share. Now we want to hear from Maylene, who's from the Association of Immigrant Entrepreneurial Women, and she's going. Let's see a little trailer of a little documentary that they recorded to tell us about them. Thank you, Maria. Well, can the video be projected? I'm hoping in the meantime, maybe you can introduce yourself.
Yo llego a Bilbao sobre 1999. Llego porque tengo aquí un hermano.
Vengo de Camerún y son camerunesa.
Estoy aquí porque era lo que yo quería hacer. Ya me trasladé aquí a Bilbao, que vivo enamorada de Bilbao.
Llego aquí hace unos 26 años. Llegué por amor. Entonces, cada una, como decía antes, traemos un potencial impresionante que si lo unimos, podemos estar también ayudando a otras mujeres que están recién llegadas, que necesitan de nuestra orientación. Es importantísimo el que vayamos trabajando conjuntamente, que nos vayamos organizando y uniendo los diferentes grupos de mujeres que hay en la comunidad aquí autónoma para poder salir adelante.
Trabajo, quiero crear puestos de trabajos. Yo no quiero emprender solamente para mí, pero para crear también puestos de trabajos para poder ayudar a los demás.
Tenemos como un techo de cristal también, ¿no? Donde es muy difícil llegar a otros ámbitos. No se nos espera en otros ámbitos y eso desalienta mucho.
Fuertes, somos mujeres empoderadas, que con nuestras capacidades, unas con más y otras pues que apenas se están identificando. El apoyo entre nosotras es importantísimo y la verdad que yo lo tengo. La verdad que yo lo tengo todos los días de mi vida.
Yo creo que siempre digo que no se nos espera en ciertos lugares, no se nos espera en los espacios políticos, en algunos puestos de jerarquía y de decisión, en empresas. Creo que todavía ahí tenemos unos retos y un camino importante que hacer juntas. Eso sí, yo creo que hay una clave que es que tenemos que trabajar juntas. Esto no es un camino individual.
Las migradas emprendedoras te vamos a acompañar. ¿Dónde tienes que ir? ¿Cómo lo tienes que hacer? ¿Cómo lo tienes que tramitar? ¿Cómo tienes que potenciar esos sueños y lanzarte a ese emprendimiento?
Trabajar en red ahora mismo para mí es uno de los pilares, ¿no? De salir a buen puerto o que tengan buen resultado las pequeñas empresas, porque estamos formando muchas pequeñas empresas que luego podemos colaborar las unas con las otras y nos haremos fuertes. Bueno, en primer lugar, quiero agradecer a
I'd first like to say thanks to Maria for having asked me to come here and trusted me with this presentation. I'm really nervous, and every time I see this documentary, I get even more nervous. You can find this documentary in YouTube. And I'm nervous, on the one hand, because everything that I've listened to now on a larger scale, but I want to bring you down to earth to a smaller level. But that doesn't mean to say we're not doing a great job. Firstly, I want to talk about the association, and then maybe later we can talk about the documentary that I've just projected. Our Association of Entrepreneurial Migrant Women was created in 2019 because we realized there was a need for some migrant women, and I've been living here for 27 years, and I've been an entrepreneur since 2005. For many women, especially for the migrant population, but for many women more specifically, being an entrepreneur is a need. It's not a luxury. It's not something because you fancy it. No, it's a need that many migrants have because the employment opportunities that we get stuck into when we arrive are not really appropriate. And this association was born out of this need and a place to be able to receive other migrant women that come to us with many ideas, many dreams, because we emigrate to improve our quality of life. And when we arrive here, we are placed in a certain, we're categorized in kinds of jobs, and we leave all these entrepreneurial ideals that we've brought from our countries that we want to develop here because we've come here because we want to be better. So the association is created out of that goal. There was this internal need to receive all those women, to bring together all those women that have got an entrepreneurial spirit, and to be able to accompany them over time to help them develop their entrepreneurial project. We don't, and then also externally to make our group more visible, and to make more visible the work that migrant women do, because we're not seen, we're invisible. So we're gradually growing really quickly. Currently we've reached, we've managed to accompany, we offer training, informal training, all kinds of workshops, and to around 60 people. Although there are 15 of us are actually in the real entrepreneurship network. What we do is work together, provide each other with support to become stronger. And of course, get ourselves out there. Our location is Bilbao. And the documentary that you just saw is what we call migrant women in Bilbao, because we've spent many years now in Bilbao, and we've got the values of Bilbao, we've taken them in board. And we want to go beyond Bilbao, go out into the Basque Country, and even further.
Último, conozcamos el proyecto de Javier Melero. El proyecto de
Javier Melero's project. He represents the sector that's most suffered during the COVID. He founded Aumentur, an innovative spin-off which digitizes the tourist sector, and he's really happy because he's been awarded a prize, TIS 2021, by the Telefonica Foundation. And it's an international prize, and he was among 650 candidates. So he's very motivated. That's why he's come to talk to us today. So maybe we can have a look at his video. This is 2 minutes long, to tell a little about what he does. And he's going to explain to us why now, you in the middle of the COVID. I'm going to project the video, but first I want to say thank you to the Basque government for inviting me here to invite a university lecturer who's also an entrepreneur. The project that you're going to see was founded 1 week before a pandemic was declared. But actually in 2006, we created a university spin-off which digitizes the network of national heritage via software, and we got into contact with the different tourist organizations. And as a result of everything that I'd done, which was visiting places and not really know what's going on because there was no information about it, not understand things, and then going back home and saying to friends, oh, I saw this, and said, oh, no, it wasn't really into this frustration, the fact that, we were upset by what was going on, and that's why we actually set up this project, Aumentur. And a solution was invented, which I can explain to you, but it's much easier if it's explained visually.
Lo mejor sería que para vuestras próximas vacaciones todos utilizaréis Aumentur. Eso sería que hemos triunfado. Sería genial. Y sí, como ha dicho María, la semana pasada en el Tourist Innovation Summit, pues conseguimos el premio en la competición de startups.
Aumentur es una novedosa plataforma digital que hace realidad el Smart Tourism, reinventando el modelo tradicional de guías de visita turísticas y permitiendo una gran variedad de formatos multimedia. Sin folletos ni mapas físicos y sin necesidad de ofrecer dispositivos compartidos, Aumentur hace de la seguridad un valor propio y diferencial. Con Aumentur, los organismos públicos, instituciones y profesionales del sector turístico, cultural y patrimonial pueden ofrecer todo lo mejor de sus destinos para mejorar la experiencia turística a sus visitantes. Aumentur evita tener que invertir recursos para desarrollar y mantener actualizada una aplicación propia. Haciendo uso de la última tecnología en aplicaciones móviles e Internet de las cosas, es posible poder disfrutar de cualquier ciudad, museo o monumento como nunca antes. Textos, audios, vídeos, escenas inmersivas 360 grados, modelos 3D o realidad aumentada. Nunca ha sido más fácil que el visitante tenga en su mano todas las posibilidades para disfrutar del destino. Gracias a un sencillo panel de gestión web, se pueden diseñar las guías de visita de forma rápida y sencilla. Estos contenidos, creados y gestionados por quien mejor los conoce, son sincronizados en tiempo real con los móviles de los visitantes. Aumentur es una herramienta segura y sostenible, adaptada al turista hiperconectado, que valora sobre todas las cosas aprovechar al máximo su visita y disfrutar de experiencias inolvidables. Con Aumentur en su dispositivo móvil, el visitante es guiado por los lugares y elementos de interés para que no pierda detalle. Una app fácil de usar para todos los destinos y para todos los públicos que muestra al usuario los contenidos más cercanos o de su interés. Una plataforma tecnológica de turismo inteligente que funciona. Así es Aumentur. Descubre el Smart Tourism.
Y lo que no se dice en el vídeo.
What the video doesn't tell you because the video was created a few months ago. This platform also allows you to get to know the visitors, the tourists, because you get lots of statistics, lots of data. The destinations, the tourist destinations can optimize the information that they offer thanks to what the visitors show. It's a very new model. It's a platform-based model. So it's a bit like Spotify. Aumentur is for tourist guides what Spotify is to music. And I think it's probably more interesting to debate now what we're doing, but rather talking about the solution, because you can all have a look at it. Thank you so much. As you can see, it's all different kinds of projects, but what they do have in common is the energy that they have, so that after yesterday I think we spent an awful lot of time talking about risks and uncertainties, both in the market in general and in the labour market specifically. And here we've, in the Basque Observatory for Entrepreneurship, people's motivations for becoming entrepreneurs has changed over the recent year and a half of pandemic. People actually become entrepreneurs out of need, out of seeking an opportunity. So perhaps we can now start with you, Javier. And this time in which you decided to become entrepreneurs, how things changed? Do you now feel there's additional support because you've been so brave as to launch your idea during a time of COVID, or you just found more additional barriers to becoming entrepreneurs in a classic sense? What do you think? I think the institutions really haven't had the time to react. We asked for subsidies to start up, and it took 18 months to get that subsidy. That's really not being agile. We entrepreneurs, if they've got a project which you need to develop, normally you just get involved and do things, because in a world that it is so rapidly evolving, you can't go at the speed of institutions when they support development. Especially 3-6 months in a technological project is a high world. You can lose market share. You can't wait to go through processes that require going through different legal loopholes. Market's far more rapid than that. This is an international market, and we can't depend on that. If you've got an idea, if you've found a market niche, if you found the problem, if you realize what the solution is, if you realize that it's feasible to do this, and yet there was a sort of time of impasse where there were no tourists, so there wasn't this urgent need, we could develop a solution so that by the time it was launched onto the market, it was already up and running, so we could take a market position. And all of this has been done with training and, of course, with support. We've been in an accelerator. We're in Andalusian Future. We've got support from them. This is something that's really important for any kind of entrepreneur, whether it's a startup or whether it's somebody who's self-employed and who's getting into becoming an entrepreneur out of need.
You need experts, specialists that provide you with advice in each step, labor market, taxes, and even someone that says, well, you shouldn't do this because 14 of these kind of shops have already closed. So this has to be done. We did it with Ageo, and now thanks to the accelerator, we've had that support, and it's been wonderful to have these experts, these mentors from companies that provide their support. It's been fundamental for an entrepreneur, because if you are a researcher, you don't know about absolutely everything. And in getting subsidies is okay, but you really need those experts' advice. That's what's really more important and more significant, more than the financial side of things, that they help you with the growth of the company. And if this happens with technology companies or others with more experience, experience, imagine with those that have less experience or a small business. I think it's something that is missing, and things haven't changed, mindsets haven't changed. What about you, Meilin? Because Javier just mentioned a key, and that is mentoring. And maybe the association is like a cooperative of mentoring amongst all. But looking into the difficulties, can you tell us about the additional barriers of those that come from abroad at a bureaucratic level to address new dreams? The most important barrier that is difficult to overcome is the administrative process. Many of those migrating independently of how they do so, after they don't have a permit until they've been in the country for 3 years, but of course they're working. Whether their paperwork is already accepted or not, but we are small and we're able to provide that mentoring because we're able to give them the time they need. Those that want to become entrepreneurs to improve their quality of life is the people we provide support to. So we help them with the paperwork, with the administration process, but we also help them in with personal accompaniment and in the creation of the business. It's a wonderful process because they bring an idea, but we see how this becomes a reality here in the Basque Country, because maybe their service we provided in our country is different to what we're going to be providing here. What are your skills? Yesterday we talked about skills, so we need to give a priority to each and everyone's skills. There are many skills, so let's see which ones you can contribute with. And what the pandemic meant is that we stopped, we started to analyze the situation, and we reflected on what we could contribute with, and many ideas are coming out of here. We're talking about sustainable entrepreneurship, healthy entrepreneurship, and with the pandemic we learned that we had to see how we could implement this. We cannot change the administrative processes, but this gives us at the same time the necessary time to see the kind of entrepreneurship we want to carry out. And when we start, we've carried out an assessment, we've measured it, and society needs to be aware of there being a black market. That is what is behind all of this. So that would be one of the hurdles, and the other one is financing. As women, sometimes we have many problems to get financing, and as migrants it's even more difficult to get a grantee. We don't have any family support, and sometimes maybe others can get the support of their families, but in our case that's very difficult. And that is one of the biggest problems that we face. But we continue to innovate, and we are full of hope, and we never stop. Yes, maintaining that necessary hope is difficult. And Susana, what about the tourism sector? Because it's really suffered during COVID, and now we go on to the biotech sector that seems to be the most attractive one to create new opportunities. Is that really so? Are there good, accessible opportunities for an SME in our region. So what have been the problems you've faced? Well, there are always opportunities. Sometimes we always say that it's never a good time to start a company, but it's always a good time, because when we started, we were in the crisis of 2008 to 2011. I don't even really know when things ended, and it never seemed the best of times, and it seemed risky to start a new company and create jobs. But we've lived different situations in the business, and now in the pandemic we could have continued with our business, and especially in the food sector that even grew during the pandemic. It grew 15%. It is true that in the whole world our customers were also affected, and it was a complex moment. We could have just stayed there, it was comfortable, but we had decided to get into the health sector. We had started with small projects that had nothing to do with COVID, and we decided it was the right time, that it was an opportunity and almost something we really had to get done. We had to contribute to society, and that's when we decided we had to develop the two products that I mentioned before for COVID. And as you know, there's a high competition. The Chinese market, the US market were the first to bring their tests here. But still, we decided to get involved and get this up and running. And our main problem has been that we were trying to get some space in this market here and close by. We've found ourselves in a situation in which the market is not purchasing our product. And the regulation hasn't helped us in any case. They have this. In fact, 95% of our tests are now going abroad. So it wasn't an easy situation. The field of health has a very complex regulation that of course makes sense to control all products, but this meant that companies from here, not only us, had to, through the royal decree, have a certificate. Only 4 in Europe can provide this certificate, and they wouldn't do it till the year 2025 with a very high financial cost. So this means in pharmacies you can only get products that has this certificate, and there's only 2 companies that have it, and that's one from the US and one from China. So you decide to create something new, but it's never simple. It never is. And going back to your question, from a sphere, from the field in which we work, the key element has been, well, the ecosystem hasn't been a problem for entrepreneurship because the tools available and the support from the administrations is wonderful, and this is something we are thankful for, and they help you with all these profiles that you need when you create a company, and you don't really imagine how many people you need until you start with a project. But it is also fundamental, at least in our case, to have investment funds and those that support your idea truly, so that you can really grow. If not, it's really difficult to be able to grow. And having those funds from an investment fund allows you to develop the project fully, and it's always difficult to achieve. Well, so support, as Anton Costa said, to create good companies and good employment. These are some of the needs mentioned by entrepreneurs, but in the Basque Entrepreneurship Observatory, we've summarized what has happened lately in this video that I would like to show to you now, so that and then we will go on to the second part of the discussion regarding the needs of the ecosystem.
A ver si nos lo ponen. ¿No está preparado? Bueno, podemos continuar sí, hasta que... Ahí está.
El Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, conocido como GEM, es un consorcio internacional cuyo objetivo es medir el fenómeno emprendedor a nivel mundial. El Observatorio Vasco de Emprendimiento, integrado por las 3 universidades vascas, lidera el proyecto GEM en el País Vasco, elaborando desde el año 2004 un informe anual que analiza la situación del emprendimiento en este territorio. La metodología GEM pone el foco en la persona que emprende y utiliza como referencia un proceso en el que se encuentran representadas las distintas etapas del proceso emprendedor. En el año 2020, la actividad emprendedora global en Euskadi resiste a la crisis COVID-19 y aumenta 6 décimas porcentuales respecto al año anterior, representando un 5,25% de la población adulta. Estas personas se encuentran inmersas en el proceso emprendedor, habiendo creado una empresa de hasta 3,5 años de vida. Todo ello en un contexto condicionado por la pandemia COVID-19, en el que la alta incertidumbre ha empeorado la percepción de la población vasca para detectar oportunidades para emprender y donde el miedo al fracaso ha aumentado de manera notable. En este contexto, se observa un descenso en el porcentaje de población vasca con empresas consolidadas, así como la actividad intraemprendedora que nace a iniciativa de otras empresas. Asimismo, se ha visto resentida también la intención de la población de crear nuevas empresas en los 3 próximos años en la comunidad autónoma del País Vasco, descendiendo casi 3 puntos porcentuales respecto al año 2019. El perfil de la persona emprendedora tiene un promedio de edad de 40 años y mantiene un equilibrio entre géneros que transmite igualdad. Por primera vez, además, las empresarias de negocios consolidados representan un 52% del colectivo, un cambio muy relevante respecto a años anteriores. En 7 de cada 10 casos, la motivación principal de quienes han emprendido ha sido ganarse la vida debido a la falta de empleo alternativo. De esta forma, la necesidad como motor de emprendimiento vasco ha sido protagonista en el año 2020, muy por encima de lo sucedido en años anteriores. Respecto a la calidad del emprendimiento, la actividad emprendedora generadora de empleo ha descendido significativamente en 2020. Además, se reduce a un 0% la creación de empleo de impacto, aquel vinculado a negocios nuevos que han generado más de 20 empleos. Sin embargo, los negocios consolidados han logrado mantener el pulso del empleo en Euskadi, pasando de 13 empleados de media en 2019 a 16 en 2020. Asimismo, aumenta un 32,8% la proporción de proyectos con algún grado de novedad en producto. No obstante, ha descendido el peso de los niveles de innovación más radicales referidos a producto, procesos y tecnologías utilizadas, así como el porcentaje de proyectos con una orientación internacional de sus ventas. En cuanto a la financiación, desciende el nivel de recursos financieros utilizados para poder emprender, situándose de media en 15.000 euros. Para su cobertura, 1 de cada 4 ha utilizado financiación bancaria, pero los ahorros personales siguen siendo el recurso más habitual. Sabemos además que más de la mitad solo ha utilizado sus propios ahorros para poder financiarse. Por último, en el entorno emprendedor, destaca una clara tendencia de fortalecimiento de las condiciones, siendo más estables respecto a años anteriores. Las condiciones más favorables son el acceso a infraestructuras físicas y de servicios, los programas gubernamentales y el acceso a la infraestructura profesional y comercial. Por otro lado, los elementos del entorno menos favorables son la falta de educación emprendedora en los niveles de primaria y secundaria y la dinámica del mercado interno.
Bueno, pues como pueden ver, a pesar de los datos que han venido
Even though we have the data you've seen on the screen, even during COVID, the energy of the people, like people in the Spanish, this year of we've grown in entrepreneurship in the Basque Country, and we are at 5.25 of the percentage of the population in entrepreneurship. Because we're not only speaking of startup and businesses, we are looking at people, at entrepreneurs, and that's how we study entrepreneurship. And I wanted to finish with this, with your view. Right now, the great concern regarding entrepreneurship is not in entrepreneurship itself, which seems to be quite agile. And we also see difficulties regarding the future. We are convinced that the key to have more entrepreneurs is in recognizing the value of these people that are innovating, generating new employment. So I open the floor to whoever wants to tell me what are the key elements that we should start with, in fact, to improve what is working quite well, because we have excellent infrastructures for entrepreneurship. Many efforts have been made by the public administrations, and even though we have good services, we have to see how we can improve them and how we can fight against the problem of having an entrepreneurship culture in society. Yes, that's one of the key cultures. Entrepreneurship is a life attitude, not only creating companies. And unfortunately, we are in a society that with less entrepreneurs, and I perceive this also as a lecturer in the university. There's not many people that say, well, there's a problem, I can solve it, and being aware of opportunities. And this can be fostered from primary and secondary school, so that children learn about problem resolution. And it's also a cultural thing, because we usually focus on the local, even though I'm happy to see companies that have the possibility of exporting as much as you do, and usually we don't think about this. And the ratio of employment creation is very low. So where do we allocate resources? In entrepreneurs that create self-employment, or others that create more employment? Because if you work with the public administration, you know how they work, but it's difficult to convince the administration about an investment in education and in mindset, so that you understand that your neighbor is an entrepreneur. Promoting this will make our economy more dynamic. We can have many employment services, LinkedIn, we can create the Tinder of employment, but if there are no companies that have the capacity to generate entrepreneurship, if what we motivate and generate is self-employment, so that they are not in the statistics of the unemployed, then we won't create a growing and competitive economy. And sorry that I'm taking so long, but we have a lack of ICT professionals. It's enormous. In Granada, it's impossible to find an IT expert, not only that they finish their degree, not even in the fourth year. And it's not enough by having more people in the university, because 200 coming, but only 60 finish. So from primary school, they need to learn technology. We need to focus on girls. I see many women here. The future is a technological future. The present also is. And the ratio of women in STEM is 10%. So we're condemning the women of the future not to have employment. So I don't have the magic wand. I'm not a politician, but that's a reality. We don't have the technological experts. There are basic technological skills that are lacking, and we need this. I'm a minority here, but in my classroom, it's exactly the opposite. And that's what we need. We need profiles. We need soft skills to be present. Proactivity needs to be taught. In Aventure and here we're going to grow. We need to get workers, and it's going to be very difficult to find these profiles because we want entrepreneurs in the company. I don't want just employees who might tell what to do. I want them to have an initiative and sometimes be mistaken so that we can grow. And all this culture is lacking in society, and we have a lot to learn from other countries where they have it in their DNA, and from the starting point they're learning how to solve problems. And sorry it took so long. Thank you, Javier. Yes, in fact, and before finishing, and I don't want to go against this conference, but Eneritz Zubizarreta yesterday talked about the problems of employing people, and now she's in the event next door. I'm not inviting you to move next door, please stay with us, but you have another entrepreneur there. And to finish, do we have any quick comments, because 3 minutes later. Yes, I will say that being an entrepreneur is a priority. We will find many difficult situations in the future, and I would like to talk about the association, but we're working on digital literacy in our association with people that want to be entrepreneurs because it's necessary. So the entrepreneurship culture is something that we really need in the country. Don't worry, because we're organizing a forum with a film, and we will dedicate a session only to speak about this issue. So don't worry, we will have time for that mainly in the future. And I fully agree with what they said. The entrepreneurship culture is fundamental. And together with this, maybe we should also value what it means to create a company and the way in which you contribute to society. We need to highlight the values of having a business initiative. Sometimes society doesn't see it as something that positive. It's always has this negative nuance, and especially young people. They don't want to, on occasions, take responsibilities, and also they feel maybe safer, or that they should. So as I was saying, we don't value enough the values that are linked to entrepreneurship. Also now, regarding the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, we work on things that have to do with innovation, jobs, and everything that has to do with entrepreneurship is included in some of these goals. So maybe that's the starting point to change the culture, and also visualize, make it visible. We participate in many events that have to do with training, and in fact with women and women scientists and technicians, so that they see that they have possibilities. When people from university visit us, or people that are in secondary school, they are surprised. They see that there are companies like ours, that is a small company, but that provides opportunities for professional and personal development. I believe it's a cultural issue that we really should focus on. Thank you. I would like to thank you all, and I think the cultural challenge is clear to be able to create good employment. Thank you.